watching Mallrats, a Star Wars podcast. Thank you for listening. Alright, welcome back to the Mallrats podcast.
Hello.
This is the third episode of Kenobi.
Part 3, Kenobi.
All in 1 week. This is kind of...
Well, that we're recording them, and releasing them, yeah. Again, we were a little bit behind, but we'll get better with this once we get caught up. That double dump of a first and second episode, and us not being able to record even a reaction to the first one for a while, it threw it off a bit. But here we are. We're ready to talk about 3. And then we'll get 4 out real soon. 4 premiered a couple days ago. And we are eager to watch that and talk about that. But first, what do you think about Part 3?
It was interesting.
Interesting.
I thought it was kind of slow at parts.
Okay.
But the overall pacing of it was pretty good.
Because you really enjoyed the second one over the first one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I like the music in this one a lot better.
There were a few interesting moments that even I noticed that, as we talked about the music and the musicality of it in the first couple, I guess, podcast. But, it was definitely unique. I couldn't figure out what it was. It was like when they were landing on that planet, was it Marpuzo?
Yep.
I didn't know. It sounded a little Middle Eastern, a little
like
Indian, a little some sort of, that tonal type, orchestration aspect of it sounded like it was influenced by different cultures, if that makes sense. So what parts went a little slow for you?
I felt like when we got to the place with the loader droid, and they were in the secret room.
Yes.
That was just kind of, like a drag. And then the final confrontation between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan was just kind of weird.
Weird?
Yeah.
In what way?
So, I mean, like, they're fighting, okay, it's this big, oh my god, and then he runs away.
Yes.
They do it again, he runs away.
He runs away twice. Rule of threes.
And he runs so badly, like, he has terrible form. He's, like, limping off.
Yeah. He's older now, right? He's more grizzled.
He's not that old.
No, but he's, pushing, he's 50-something, probably. But, yeah, there were moments. Think about what happened right before the loader droid scene. His name was Ned 8. And there was that big, stressful confrontation with the checkpoint and the battle with the thinking they're going to die and even get assassinated by the stormtroopers until the woman Imperial shows up and turns out to be the spy, the informant, the insider. What do we want to call her? Any of those? But anyways, I mean, so it was pressure, so you got to pull back a little bit, right? It can't constantly be building. It has to. You got to come down on that from the high of that roller coaster a bit, because right after that loader scene, it was the presence of Vader, and very stressful scene. Were you not a fan of that particular scene?
I wasn't a fan of it. I feel like the pacing of it, like the ramp up, and then it's fine, and then it ramps up. But I didn't feel like it ramped up too much.
Okay.
I feel like maybe this was intentional, but it's like reserving like the important stuff for like later episodes.
Yes.
Instead of like doing cool stuff. It's just weak.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, we definitely had different opinions on this particular episode. Well, since we're talking about Vader, I mean, this episode is all about Vader. From the beginning where we're seeing him assembled, lifted by meat hooks, disconnected out of the Bacta and all of that, and unplugging him like he's a Tesla being charged or something. You got to unplug him and then put his arms on, and just seeing him on Mustafar, returning to the scene of. Well, you can't really say the birth of Vader, because the birth of Vader was when he, had a hand in Mace Windu being thrown out of a window, and then, he went off and killed kids, because he said, "Rise, Lord Vader." So that's kind of his birth. But, baptism by fire, that really applies to him here when he cooked him on Mustafar, and that's where he's going to set up his castle. That's where his home is. Is it to consistently remember Obi-Wan, remember the pain, the hatred, remember the loss, that stuff is anger, and that fuels the dark side. So maybe that's why he's
I think
there.
You're digging too much into this.
Well, why?
It's a cool lava setting.
It's a beautiful lava setting, but why would he?
Brooding.
Why would you go to the planet that you were burned and humiliated and defeated? And
I guess that's more where he was like actually born instead of like just killing Mace Windu or
so
whatever.
he was created here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, that is a beautiful, beautiful set piece. All right, so Vader. The one thing that drove me nuts was in their fight scene. Yes, Obi-Wan ran away a couple times, but that didn't bother me. It was we're on this scene for just a few seconds, and then it cuts back to the little town, the village, and then it comes back. I wanted uncut excitement. I was so shocked that they actually saw each other. I'm even more blown away that they actually fought. This is part 3. We're halfway through it. I thought this would be the climactic, but if they ever met at all, and that's what we talked about with these other podcasts, are they ever going to meet? Was it just going to be in flashbacks? When would Obi-Wan find out about that Anakin lives? They pretty much did that all in the second and third episode. I found that real intriguing that it happened so quickly. Were you surprised at all?
Yes. That's why I think that it was like intentionally weak, so they can like build up and make it cooler later.
So when they come back together again,
yeah, it'll be like epic, like lightsaber slashing, because he'll be more like Kenobi will be more of a Jedi instead of just he used the Force once.
The biggest, best, fastest, baddest, awesome Star Wars lightsaber duel and longest was the Mustafar. It was the culmination of Obi-Wan versus, Anakin / now he's Vader. That's one everybody knew about. It was like, how did they fall apart? How was Vader created? They heard rumors of lava, and so you got to see that play out. This was a much different lightsaber battle.
Yeah.
Because the first Vader Obi-Wan that we ever saw was Alec Guinness fighting David Prowse, in the Death Star, and it's very slow. This here, if you watch it again, and I think I can say, and this is not crapping on the other, especially not crapping on Mando, because Mando, I think, is the height of Disney Plus Star Wars. I think this is more beautifully shot. Really utilizing darkness and light, which we saw with Dayu, and we talked about with the lights and the color, the neon, all of that. But the lightsabers just seem to be glowing more. And with the darkness and the smoke, you really get to see the light emanating away from it. When Obi-Wan turns on his, there's blue his whole body's covered in blue. You know what I mean? And they've used lightsabers before as flashlights in dark places, and it gives off some light, but it's not to the scope. It was like he was in the Blue Man Group, and it was so beautiful and blue, and we see the red going through smoke, and Vader walking out of darkness. You can't see him, but you see his chest lights first as he strides. When they are locked in their lightsaber pushing against each other, Obi-Wan's face is purple because the blue on the red, it's not just there's purple strikes when they strike, it was just presence, and then when they separated, it went away, and I hadn't noticed that in the first time. So visually, I don't know who the DP is of this director of photography, but it's just, I really enjoy it. I love the POV shots of the probe droid. When it came down to look at Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan looks right up into the camera. We had POV the very first scene in Order 66. We were one of the little ones for just a few moments, following that Jedi. So I really dug that. But back to the way they fought, Vader is one-handing power. And Obi-Wan is backpedaling. He's shook. He is still, the stress / fear / I can't believe this of him peering out the window watching Vader. And I loved the Vader in this episode. I loved watching him just walk down the street. He knows. How does he know Obi-Wan's there? If Obi-Wan shut off from the Force, no. But like a scratch that needs itched, he just pulls a guy out the window and starts force choking him. and you see Vader just look around, look to the side, like, what are you going to do? My old master, brother, friend, Obi-Wan, is going to do something. He sees this. Somebody comes out to try to help, and he snaps the kid's neck. He takes a woman in the street and just drags her with the Force as he's walking through. You are seeing Vader be a bad man. This Rogue One, and it was a reshoot, the way that Rogue One ended, where you see him go nuts, right outside the Tantive, killing people. You see him Force pushing, holding, slashing. You've never seen Vader fight that way. You read about it in the books, but you only used to have old man, in the originals. So seeing him utilize the Force and really abuse the Force for malicious dark side, not caring, this is what Star Wars fans want to see Vader be. Okay, we know he's going to be redeemed in 12-ish or so years, by Luke, but maybe a little bit more than that. But we want to see that bad man, and he was that. And his lines that he had to Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan is like, what? And again, we talked about the eyes, the acting of Kenobi. He doesn't want to fight. He didn't even want to turn on his lightsaber that first time that he ran away. Mm-hmm. He didn't even turn it on, I don't believe, and then he ran because he hasn't held a lightsaber in 10 years. He hasn't practiced, and that's why he is majorly hesitant, and he knows that this is going to be a one-sided fight, so that's why he was defensive. Vader's just slashing with one arm. Boom, power strokes. So this wasn't a battle. This wasn't even a duel. And so, like what you were alluding to a bit ago, there has to be, since they met now, there's got to be another culminating fight. But think about it. How can that fight down the road end up? Can't be to the death. Right?
I mean, none of their fights have been to the death.
Right, but I mean, a lot of lightsaber fights, that's what the point is, right? And so maybe he'll have to fight in order so Leia or Luke can escape and Vader doesn't know that it's their kids. I don't know. But I really, really loved when he choked Obi-Wan in that open area and then somehow spilled the flammable whatever and then lit it with the lightsaber. Mm-hmm. And he threw Obi-Wan Kenobi into the fire and then dragged him into it with the Force. Now you will feel pain. And that was Disney Plus. When in the trailer you saw the dead Jedi's feet, we didn't know if it was a Jedi. And like, there was no way Disney hung somebody. And
yes, they did.
And they didn't. They didn't. That dude was killed, but then he was strapped up. He was propped, okay, with, not crucified, but he wasn't hung like the old Wild West, the murders. So to burn Obi-Wan Kenobi was, wow, this is dark. This is awesome. Now you're going to experience pain. But he doesn't kill him. He could have killed him, but he puts out the fire.
He does.
Yeah. He pulls out the fire, and they're getting ready to go pick him up, and that's where Tala shows up and shoots. And then reignites the flames, and that's when the loader droid comes and picks up Kenobi, and they escape. Done.
I didn't think he put him out.
He pushed. And then the stormtrooper goes walking across to control him, or to pick him up. Your pain has just begun. Vader puts out the fire. What does he have planned for Obi-Wan? What do you think?
Torture.
Just torture for the sake of torture?
Yes.
His hate's that, and nothing more creative. I don't know. I don't have an answer.
What do you mean nothing creative?
Nothing more creative? I'm not saying it's not creative. I'm just some sort of. It's fun. We're trying to figure out why is Reva so upset.
She just is.
And we know that the Inquisitors, we found out last episode, Inquisitors are former Jedi for the most part, right? Mm-hmm. They're Force talented. How they went to the dark side, I don't know if it's like when pirates attack a ship and they're like, join us or die, so you become us. I don't know if that's it. Vader, we see that she has a relationship in Vader, and he knows what she wants. He's going to give it to her. You're going to be the Grand Inquisitor if you succeed.
Grand Inquisitor is a rank.
Grand Inquisitor is a rank. Okay, and so Vader, I've been watching you, he says. You do this, you're the Grand Inquisitor. You're not, and you die. So I don't think that they have a relationship. She's not his Emperor's hand, like Mara Jade was to Palpatine, but it was because we were curious about that, right?
Yes.
So with if the rank is Grand Inquisitor, so that's number 1 brother or sister. When she's in the meeting with the 4th sister and 5th brother, when they're like in that underwater, palace or whatever they're in, he says that rank should be mine. That I'm next in line.
I guess the numbers are opposite. The bigger, the better.
Yeah, but there was the spider girl.
She's 7.
She was 7. So, and that's what we were talking about. So there's still a lot of confusion or not really knowing, and that's fine. Maybe that's it. And he said, I hope to get what I deserve, and you too. And she goes, yeah, so do I. Which, is it just me, or is there clearly going to be a battle between those two?
We all know Tokyo Drift guy is going to die.
Yeah?
Yeah.
By her?
Yeah.
No one talked about the Grand Inquisitor in this one, other than when she was quickly talking about Obi-Wan fought, and then Vader cuts her off. So I'm kind of thinking he's going to show up again, either in plot where they talk about him, right?
I feel like they're going to move past it because they all want the position of Grand Inquisitor.
They want it. So I guess there was no...
That's like the point of the Sith or whatever, is to be the one in power.
The one in power, and to have one other person. Does she want to be Sith? Is that the main goal of the Inquisitors, do you think? They want to be a Sith? Do they know that he's Sith? Because if so, if they're educated in it, then they would know that that there's a, Darth Sidious out there. Yeah. I don't think they know that the Emperor necessarily is Darth Sidious. The whole galaxy knows him just as Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah.
So...
How does she know that Vader is Anakin? Why do they know that?
Why?
Why would he tell them?
Right? And she was so quick to throw that information out to Kenobi last episode. So, I don't know. Because it doesn't... This one, I'm glad that we saw what we saw of Reva talking to him, because we were curious. Is she already the right-hand man? Is she already being kind of an intern? But that didn't appear so at all. He says, I've been watching you. So it's more like she is just somebody who is striving to work real hard to be noticed, and she has been noticed.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, so there were great moments. I love Reva is becoming a very formidable individual. I think she would have been a great Jedi in just her detective skills. Very Sherlockian, where she walks into the loader's room where they had escaped, and she looks around, finds the hidden room. She finds a logo, where Quinlan, they were talking about Quinlan Voss, and we talk about him in a bit, but there was a sketch, and it's the emblem of the Jedi Order, and she gets pissed, and she kind of throws something. Again, why is she so hateful of Obi-Wan and clearly the Jedi? If she used to be a Jedi.
I don't think we're going to find out. Or there'll be some huge exposition dump in the last episode, and it'll be like, oh, okay.
I think we need to know. I think because it helps to motivate and for us, the audience, the reader, to be able to care about a character, we need to know what drives them. That's why the villains monologue in things, so why they do what they do and why it's not just some random bomb making or explosion.
Yeah.
And that makes us care, whether it's in support or against that person. It helps with the exposition and the drama of it. So I want to know. But how old is she? 25? Sure. So 10 years ago she was 15, so she's a Padawan. If at the fall of Order 66-ish. So she would have known who Kenobi was. And does she blame the Jedi for not being able to protect everybody? Maybe all of her friends were killed, but she escaped. But it's Kenobi that she's after.
Kenobi.
So I don't know, but there's some, and so I'm intrigued by that. I had to look up what that logo was because I'm like, that's not the New Republic, but I had seen it before because there's like a star in the middle of it, and so it was, and I'm like, is that from the Old Republic? No, it's the Jedi Order crest. So that's intriguing, and I'm there for her. I'm curious where she goes with things, and we see that she clearly kidnaps Leia again, right?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
So Leia runs away, and Reva is there, and then boom, credits. Yeah. Other things that jumped out or you want to talk about from this episode?
Vader's suit up was a lot more detailed than we've seen before. It's just kind of, it's on now.
Yeah.
But we know how it works. There's the meat hooks or whatever.
The meat hooks pull him up. I found that was pretty cool. As we saw in the very final frames of last episode where we see his face and his eyes open. Very, as I said, very Frankenstein monster. Just the scarring and, his earlobes are melted to his face. And just, we've never seen that detail before. It was you can't say it was a bad prosthetic back in Return of the Jedi. It was what it was. Yeah. To be made in 82, come out in 83. So we're 40 years ago. But this just looks great. He just looks much thicker and bigger. And scarier, so I really enjoy seeing him. Yes, Vader had dialogue in Rogue One, but otherwise we haven't really gotten to see Darth Vader Darth Vader since the original trilogy, right?
What does Hayden Christensen even do?
Why do you say that?
James Earl Jones is the voice.
He's credited. Which that was a cameo prediction that I had. He has to show up.
The stunt people aren't credited, but Hayden Christensen is.
He's credited as Darth Vader,
and he's not. He doesn't do the body work,
the stunts and stuff.
What does he do?
See, this is the same thing talking about Pedro Pascal, right? Because there's two stunt people for him. One,
but they said he's not in the suit.
He's not in the suit when it's walking, and he's in the suit when he's sitting flying the Razor Crest. That's him.
No, I'm talking about Vader.
This is the same discussion because he has multiple people doing stunts. He has a person doing just dueling. Another person would, maybe more of the action stuff, just like Pedro Pascal does. That's why Pedro wants the helmet off more, so people see him and he gets more face time. But what does Hayden do? I don't know. Are we going to get more scenes of him just in close-up without the mask?
Heavy prosthetics.
Yeah, I don't know. Quinlan Voss, there was a throwaway line that Quinlan Voss was here. He's all from the canon, but he does show up in, maybe he's not canon. He is canon, excuse me, because in, I want to say it's Revenge of the Sith, Obi-Wan is late to a meeting on the Outer Sieges or something, and it's like a lecture hall. And he walks in, and Obi-Wan is wrapping up a presentation. Everybody's left. And he says, you're late. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, but it is good news. And he talks about, Master Voss went to Ball's pity, something. So he's been referenced in the movies, but a big presence in the Dark Horse comics from the early 2000s storylines. He goes dark at some point. He goes by his own rules. He has an ability when he touches things that whoever had used it before, he can sense memories and things from the past on those people. And I didn't know since I was looking up about him to refresh myself, but he was in the Clone War episode where Zero the Hutt gets broken out of prison by Cad Bane.
Yep.
And so then Obi-Wan and him team up to go and look for Zero out in the marshes and stuff. So he has been exposed into canon more than just a reference point. So I had forgotten all about that. But that's just cool for those fans. Gosh, what other things? The female stormtrooper trader, whatever her name is, Tala. She's an actress whose name is Adira Varmer. I've recognized her from Game of Thrones, where she was the love interest of Pedro Pascal. They were from where were they? He was a sand viper. I can't think of that. Dorne, or I think it was Dorne. Anyways, it was a southern warm desert area. But she was also on a TV show called Rome on HBO even before that. And she was wonderful in those. So I hope that she's around more because Kumail Nanjiani, I doubt, is going to show up again. Right? Unless they ever show up to Dayu.
Never.
She seems like she might have the ability, unless she's just stationed on this planet and we can't get off this planet for whatever. I kind of envision her playing a bigger role.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on her?
She was an interesting character to add, like bringing in Ahsoka in the middle of the second season of The Mandalorian. It was like, okay, cool, I haven't had any time really to develop some sort of connection to her.
I would
She's
agree
just
with that.
kind of there.
But she's not. I'm not gonna say she's a fabulous actor. I've only seen her in these couple other things, but I thought she was very competent. I thought she was good. I thought interesting. A female, and females are finally being represented in Star Wars. You know, we have like I'm a female. They have the leads in the new sequel trilogy. You know, and then we have Jyn Erso in Rogue One, right? Ahsoka's getting her own show. We have Cara Dune in the Mando, very strong women. Because in the original trilogy, it's just Leia, and she always has to be rescued by the men. Whether she's in the Death Star or she's a slave. Yes, she's a senator. Wonderful. And she's strong and bossy. Love it. But it's always that princess archetype that she has to be rescued. So with this one, she's in some sort of military ranking. We heard a female stormtrooper voice, which I don't know if we've ever had female stormtroopers in canon before. I'm sure that it was in the books and comics at some point, but it was the 3 stormtroopers right after they got through the gate, you know, right when they thought they were going to die.
Yeah.
She was the one talking. Let's see. So I enjoyed her, but yeah, I don't have a huge connection other than, okay, well, this could be interesting. You know, it's almost like Callus from Rebels.
Yeah.
Once we find out,
cool.
Okay, we got this traitor on the inside who's very high up that can really help out the rebellion. So I don't know. Maybe it'll be something like that. Lola got fixed. You know, more exposition between Leia. You know, good moments between Leia and Obi-Wan. What did you think about their scenes? Did you learn anything or develop any more?
No,
about those two?
They didn't really have that many scenes in this episode besides like him screwing up while they're playing the farmers from Tall.
Yeah.
Besides that, they weren't really together because they split up for most of the episode.
Well, from the end there when they're in the town, but there were some great moments where, you know, when they're on the back of the bus. Let's just call it the bus or truck. The meat train's on Tatooine, so let's not confuse them. But he figured out, or she figured out, that you knew my mom and he had a moment where it was just like, yeah, but you know, we miss her much because she said, "Are you my dad?" And, "Oh, if I was," you know, that type of thing. But there was just a really cool moment there, and Leia has been great, obviously fan favorite of this, a standout character, but how quick she lies, how quick on her feet, and with improv, just coming up with something, and Obi-Wan is just like, yes, and my wife died, and you know, they just build off each other, you know what I mean? And so it's just really an interesting dynamic that the two of them have. So we found out just more, and he fixed Lola, so they got to talk a little bit more, and she's more understanding. "I'm sorry I ran away, and don't worry, you're going to get back." And he's more personable now than he was originally. He was kind of just a crotchety hermit, you know, with the kids. I did find interesting how untrusting he is. He didn't trust Kumail Nanjiani last episode. Here, they get to the place with the coroner and somebody's there and goes, "I knew it. I knew he lied. I knew I shouldn't trust him." And she's the voice of reason. He's just so jaded from the last 10 years, I think. But old Obi-Wan, I think, would have been more compassionate.
I think I disagree with you. I think in the other episodes, like, he did trust Kumail Nanjiani.
Ultimately, yes.
Past just the part, past the part where he's like busting him with all the magnets. But now it's after he knows that Anakin's still alive and he's all like, "Oh no, I have unfinished business." He's trying to rush to get that done, and he's not like focusing on being nice or whatever.
Not quite sure I remember exactly what you're referencing, because the last time he talks to Kumail, he gives him the ticket to get onto the freighter, and then he goes to cause interference with Reva. And so then Obi-Wan goes with Leia to get on the carrier, and he doesn't engage with Kumail and have another opportunity to grow at all. Does that make sense? I think I'm getting a little confused here. But the magnet stuff, can I trust you? Can I do this? Because he called him Obi-Wan, didn't he? Obi-Wan, I don't know if I can trust you. Trust me, go. And that was, so he went. But it's almost like getting put on a freighter cart and on a train, and you go, but you don't know, am I going to my doom or am I going to salvation? And this whole time he's like, okay, well, he said it, but I still think he's very untrusting, and I think it's going to take a little bit of time, and this Tala could maybe help reform him a little bit and become more like his old calm self. But being a 10-year, I don't know if you can call him a hermit, because if he's off working and he's around people, even though he lives alone, he's just so different, which he needs to be, because the life has changed, over the time, and all the guilt, the pain that he had, and now Vader's not dead, and what this is bringing up some craziness. He's talking to Qui-Gon again. Is it safe to assume? Do you think that he hasn't been able to?
Yes.
Because even Luke, after he has talked to Ben, he's like, oh, Ben. And Ben might not respond to him, through the Force Ghost at that time. He has spoken. I like the idea of that he hasn't yet. And then at some point when he's really low, Qui-Gon will, my Padawan, show up. I don't know.
I'll do a Rise of Skywalker Han Solo.
Oh, hey kid, and then walk in the frame. Yeah, that'd have been awesome. Yeah, good.
That's it.
Anything else? That's it. I enjoyed hearing briefly Kenobi talk about his past, how Jedi are taken when they're away, because she doesn't know her mom. She was taken away. Leia was taken from Padme. Well, Padme died. But he says he has glimpses of his family. He remembers a baby and goes, I think I had a brother. I'm starting to think of that could be a really interesting storyline. Not predicting that for this. But if there was a baby and he was young, there's somebody just under his age out there in the world, probably not Force sensitive, because they might have been taken too. But it could be a cool, if something happens that he needs to take care of something, and his main opposition is somebody that turns out to be his brother.
I think it'll make the whole, here's Ben Kenobi and here's Obi-Wan Kenobi. It'll make it easier for Leia to be like, oh, they're brothers, instead of oh, it's the same person.
Yeah. I don't know. It was just one of those things I heard, and I'm like, that is an interesting little nugget that I didn't think about before, thinking about what Obi-Wan's upbringing was until he was taken away. And then what could it be to connect, if that makes sense. Because there was a novel, Timothy Zahn, who did the Thrawn books. He wrote a book called Outbound Flight, where a female Jedi, 20-ish, she goes on this exploratory, the unknown regions area, and she runs into this young mechanic working at the Jedi Temple, and it turns out it's her brother, and her brother hates her. She didn't know and recognize him because she was taken away to the Jedi Temple when she was so young. He doesn't have any Force abilities, but he resents her for breaking up the family, being mom and dad's favorite, whatever, because it was an honor for the kids to become Jedi.
Yeah.
And so something like that could be really interesting with Obi-Wan Kenobi's younger sibling, maybe going bad, or I don't know, but that was just a line. Yeah, I think that's about the cool things. I thought it was a very cool introduction to the show, where we had Kenobi processing through the voiceover of Reva, rehashing from the previous episode, but then also the emergence and reveal of Darth Vader in greater detail, and his breathing, and then that was pretty sweet.
He does breathe a lot.
He does. Well, you kind of have to, don't you? Don't you have to? So it sounds to me like in my mind, I thought that this might be your favorite episode of the three, but it clearly isn't.
What do you mean clearly isn't? I just don't like the Darth Vader parts.
That's okay. I find it astounding, but that is totally fine. So would you rank 2, 1, 3?
2, 3, 1.
2, 3, 1. Okay, so 3 was better than 1. Okay. Yeah, I'm intrigued to see where 4 goes. I'm curious to see, how much more Vader time we have. What's his fallout from Obi-Wan? What's Obi-Wan's recovery going to be like? And again, Reva, what are we going to see with her now that oh my gosh, she has Vader's kit? What's she going to do? Is she going to bring little Leia in front of him?
Oh.
Think about that.
I don't know if she has her because she's running away.
She's running away, but you can see that she had killed the pilot that Leia was supposed to run to, right? Maybe this is her bargaining chip or her wild card, her draw 4 that she's holding until the end. In that, I'm going to keep this wild card hidden, and so that way I will always have that connection that if I need to bait Obi-Wan again, I can.
I don't. I think Leia's gonna outrun Reva because she's done it twice, and so she has to do it a third time.
Yeah, you think that makes sense? I remember when Luke is fighting Vader at the end of Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, and Luke is hiding in the shadows on the Death Star, and then he goes, "A sister." Obi-Wan was wise to hide, So I don't think that he can find out that Leia is his daughter, because he doesn't even know he has a son at this point. I think he would be able to sense that there is a Force presence with this girl in the same. And it was cool how she was asking questions about the Force.
Yeah.
Like, you wonder if she kind of feels like, maybe I have something. I don't know. But anyways, I'd be very intrigued. And talk about dramatic irony, where we, the viewing audience, know something characters don't. If she is brought before him, the stuff that we know is just, that'd be insane. It would be such a, oh my gosh, experience. If only he knew. Because if Leia is raised in the same way Luke was, she would have been a very powerful Jedi, right? In theory?
I guess.
If she was given the same opportunities?
Maybe she's not Force wielding or whatever. Maybe it's like a recessive trait or something.
Well, she does get trained by him. We see that. It was always in canon, and she became a Jedi, but we see, in a flashback in Rise of Skywalker, that she's being trained on Endor.
Yeah.
All right. No, I wish that there was more Vader Obi-Wan. I think I wish that it wasn't in this episode, though, so soon. But when it became there, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was the very little dialogue. Vader was, you could tell he had some things to say. And then ultimately the fire scene of him, now it's your turn. And he dropped him down. I wanted him to yell, "Now I have the high ground," as he's standing over him burning. Something like that. I just thought visually that was the full circleness of their last meeting. I thought was really interesting. So I dug that a lot. And then I don't know where we're going to go. And so I'm excited to see episode 4. And we're at the halfway point. So pretty intriguing. I don't think I have anything else. Do you? No?
I think we've gone back and forth between I don't have anything else like 4 times.
Yeah, but then we had something else, so I think I'm legit done.
I don't have anything else.
We're good. Okay. All right. So we will be back soon, shortly, with episode 4. If you have any questions on any of the episodes shown or anything Star Wars, we got a lot of Star Wars coming up down the road. Please let us know, and they can reach us where, Nolan?
mallratspod@gmail.com.
That's right. Or any of our Twitter or Instagram or YouTube channel. You can comment there as well. So, great. So, thank you very much. It was nice chatting with you, Nolan. So, until next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I'm Bob.
We said bye. I'm Nolan.
Bye.
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 I'm Nolan.
I'm Bob.
Bye.
Bye.